All right, we are just after the top of the hour. Thank you, everyone, for attending Fusion Connect's Reopening for Business Roundtable. My name is Terry Corder. I'm the Director of Solution Engineering here at Fusion Connect. I have with me today a esteemed colleague of mine, Mr. Brett Hunt. Brett is our major technical account manager over at Fortinet. Brett, welcome.
Thank you very much. Nice to be here.
Thank you. So, what we wanted to do today is we wanted to just take a few minutes and make sure that everyone had an opportunity to see and talk a little bit about. Brett and I wanted to talk about the opportunity for businesses to reopen after the tough times that we've had over the last year with COVID. So, without further ado, I wanted to just bring up a quick slide, and I'll actually lower this shortly and allow Brett and myself to more have a one-on-one. I look for a slide deck to really just be something for everyone to be able to see, something for everyone to just have some bullet points, and then really this should be a conversation. So, um, it's been a really crazy world, a tough time over the last year. And in this last year, it's been a tough time, a sad time. Um, Hard for businesses to really stay open and keep moving forward. Many businesses have been able to find that way, and really it has just been a band-aid to get there. Everybody scrambled, everybody tried to become flexible and hybrid in a sense, and really almost fully remote versus hybrid. So now that everybody has done all this scrambling and tried to get into this position, uh, it's time to, as we start to reopen the country, more people are getting vaccinated, more of the restrictions are being lifted, more and more companies are evaluating their options, trying to decide how they will be handling their workforce and what they'll be doing going forward with their employees, with their business as a whole, and how to take those band-aids off and really create a true hybrid workforce, something where some employees may work from home, some employees may work in the office, some companies will stay 100% at home. So it's really going to be a flexible situation. Um, One of the notes we have, according to a KPMG survey, 82% of companies are actually going to let the employees decide when and where they're going to operate and do business. They've found that many of their employees are much more productive working from home, and other employees are just not. So, if many of these businesses that we're all working with or are like ourselves here at Fusion Connect. We just recently did a survey of our employees to find out which do you prefer. Do you prefer a work from home atmosphere or a in-person atmosphere in the office? And then the HR and business leaders of those companies are going to evaluate those surveys and figure out when it's best to do one or the other. In making those type of decisions, there really are a couple of things that have to be taken into consideration. They have to think about um, if those employees work better in a environment where they have other people nearby, they can just talk to them over the wall, say, or is a unified communication platform going to be sufficient for them to communicate back and forth? Or can someone truly work 100% hybrid and still be as productive or more so than what they were before? And for those employees, latency, our CEO likes to say latency is liquid gold. They want very quick responses. They want to be able to communicate very quickly and evenly. And that's just going to be the facts going forward. And it's not just going to be at offices, it's going to be at those offices as well as remotely. Um, and then some of those employees are at a point where they need to have multiple layers of redundancy and availability, even when they're working from home. So I wanted to just target those 6 items and let you know a framework of what we're going to talk about a little bit today. Brett, did you want to add anything to that, or while I stop sharing and we start talking a little more?
No, absolutely. I appreciate the time, Terry. So I think when you look at what's going on in people, especially companies trying to evaluate these concerns, it's some can take into account, like what you were saying with Infusion, where they've actually asked the employees, what do you feel is best? But at the same time, you still have some geographic concerns where certain areas are still under lockdown and certain areas are now wide open. And trying to blend that for a company and from an executive standpoint can be very difficult. And then more so, how if I do have, say, let's just thought a number, let's just say it's 50-50. 50 are at home and 50 are at work. How do I provide the same level of connectivity, the same level of security, the same level of redundancy to both groups of people, whether or not they be at home or whether they be in the office. And that's where this hybrid model really comes into play. We just don't have a good number. We don't know what the future is going to look like. It may be 10%, it may be 20%, or it may be, like you said earlier, 100% working from home, because some companies are going to decide the rent's just not worth it. We've been getting by this far. Our numbers have gone up. Why in the world would I go back to having an office space? And others will decide, I can't live without an office space. My kids are screaming all the time. I have to get back in. So I think when you look at that, it leaves us in a place where, as technologists, how do we help enable what it is they need for their business?
Exactly. Yeah, and that's what we've found as well is there are so many people in the industry that are going to go one way, the other, or both, that we really have to look at all of the options and try to help facilitate achieving those options, regardless of what their decision is.
Yes.
So I know that some of the things that we have to look at when we're looking at that, we all talk about, oh well, we can do business anywhere now. We can do it on our cell phones. We can do it on our work phones. We can do it on our laptops, and we can do it from anywhere. Those historically have been things that only technologists like ourselves have been able to do. And we've really seen over the last year through force, people have had to figure out how to do that for every member of their organization. And many of them have put in those quick fixes. We'll just, we'll let everything go remote and anything can come in and connect into the network because we have to be able to get the access and we have to be able to access these systems, read and write on these files, do the communication between one another. And it has become a really scary time because many companies have not had the time or the means in order to take security in mind as well. And I know that's something that at Fortinet you guys take very seriously. I know we do at Fusion Connect as well. Is without security, really, you're just um, opening up to a world of hackers. We all have heard all of the scary things that have happened out there, and you think, oh well, they're just scare tactics. In many cases, they're not just scare tactics. We have seen a global increase in the number of attacks, not just on the smaller businesses, but global large companies and small businesses. Everybody thinks, oh well, I'm too small, nobody will see me. But if the data is out there, we've seen that hackers really are targeting you regardless of size.
Absolutely. I think when you look at I think the real issue there is it's gone from having a very centralized model where I have everybody in this office. I can protect them because I put 2 or 3, 4 or 5 tools in place to guard this barrier, and this is the way you get in. But now that I'm, expanding that to 100 home users on cable modems, and maybe there's VPN. Okay, that's fantastic. Now you're at least encrypted that traffic. Have I also taken into account a two-factor for the way that they're getting in, so I can ensure that you are the person that you think you are? Have I done any sort of a zero trust look at this person? There are a lot of components to it that can be confusing to someone who hasn't had to look at this before and honestly just hasn't had to take this into account before. So you have security, which obviously is the enemy of simplicity. So we're trying to make this as simple for our user as we can, yet at the same time trying to secure that for them. And those two things do not line up well. But It's people like Fusion or partners like Fusion who can step in and help the customer, help the end user with that decision. Okay, look, we need to line this up better, and hopefully the end user has a vision for where they want to get to, because really it's about, this is my goal, this is what I want to see for my users, and now reaching out to those experts, those people, Fortinet, Fusion, whoever that might be, to be a trusted consultant to come in and say, okay, we can help you get there. It's not as bad as you think, but there are some things we have to take into account.
Absolutely. Yeah, and identifying those things that need to be taken into account is where my team and your team actually help the end user and help everyone uh, make those decisions, or at least make recommendations to them so that they can make a more informed decision.
Sure.
We see so many customers that have made these quick decisions, and um, at the time they were the right decision for them. And we can't slight anyone for doing the things they've done over the last year in order to keep their businesses up and running. We've all had to make those changes, and unfortunately, in some cases, those sacrifices. Like you said, the sacrifice of simplicity over security.
Right.
So now is the time, as businesses and everything opens back up, that people are starting to look at, what do I need to do and how do I work this so that I'm not making that sacrifice anymore. Anytime you go in and try to retrofit something, it makes it that much more difficult. So we're seeing right now, I'm talking to clients that really, I have a very large client that's in California, in the West Coast, that is looking at, they handle calls all day long, and their team members operate in a uh, hosted system and update things in a hosted system. They have their hosted phone system, etc. And they're not going to bring anyone back. They've found, especially in those high rent cities, LA, New York, the big cities and states where, one, we're still fighting the COVID awareness and the security and the health constraints, but two, the cost to do business in those states, as we all know, is just so much more for rent, for large internet pipes, for that type of connectivity, that they're looking at having their employees continue to work at home. One of the ways that we're doing it is with Fortinet, we have to put that decision in front of the customer. Do we do this via a software component, a VPN, like you mentioned, and put in that two-factor authentication, that security, that level of access that gives you a little more flexibility on what's connecting, but not as much flexibility on how many items are connecting at the home. So if they're running a VPN, a software VPN on their computer, then anything they want connected online has to be behind that software VPN.
Right.
So one of the solutions that we're talking to this client about is a physical um, Fortinet device. Fortinet has some very affordable entry level devices that do full VPN, they do full encryption, you can do multi factor authentication, and you're building that tunnel, but still encrypting it, having that level of security, and you are making those individual endpoints a node of your enterprise.
Right.
So that's what people are having to look at now. Whether I'm a 10 employee company, or in the case of the one I'm talking about, a thousands and thousands of employees, this is 1,500 of those employees. Those employees, they're looking at the options of, how do I make it where I can have my phone traffic encrypted and secure? I can have my desktop traffic encrypted and secure, and I can give that data the prioritization it needs, so that on those home networks, we're not having the situation where the kids are doing school from home right now, still in many cases, and we don't know when that's ever going to go back to permanent in-person schooling. So when they're done with school, many of them are hopping on their Xbox. They're streaming movies on Disney Plus or Netflix. We see all of those things where kids are doing that, and it's affecting the way that people do business. We
Sure.
found by putting in a edge SD-WAN device and doing that encryption, doing that prioritization, that we're allowing businesses to look at truly making a home user a node of their enterprise, securing it, making that locked down, secure environment while still allowing them to have that secondary traffic that doesn't take priority but still routes out and uses their own home internet. We've also had them look at putting in just a business class solution and having a failover. I've seen several executives, I've talked to several executives recently that they tell me, I don't need to go into the office every day. I've found that I can work from home and I get more done.
Right.
And their concern or their problem is I'm on home internet. Even if I'm on business internet at home, I'm still on a cable type service normally if I'm in a home environment. And I just have those concerns about I can't drop a phone call if I'm on with the board of directors. I can't drop my session if I'm on and presenting to a group like I am today. So what we found is those executives take advantage of failover solutions, again, within SD-WAN to handle that. So now we're no longer looking at those quick and dirty, how do I just keep doing business? And now we're looking at the how do I secure that business and how can I make that business redundant so that as a business owner, when my internet goes down, my connectivity doesn't go down. I still have a backup LTE type connection, or I use my home internet as a secondary connection. Maybe my home internet is through a cable provider and my business internet is through a fiber provider. So I have two different providers, two different connections into my home, and hopefully that will be sufficient. If not, use a wireless. So we have a lot of options out there, and those are the things that we're finding that business owners and decision makers really have to start looking at. And I think you're finding the same type things.
Absolutely. I think when you look at the end users themselves, they have a whole laundry list of concerns. Again, from the overarching discussion of COVID and where it leaves their employees and what they're going to do. But then, assuming we do have a plan, we're going to work from home, or half are going to work from home, or we're going to leave it to user choice. Then it comes down to the number of things you just, what's the backup plan? As you said, I hear a storm coming. I have this call. I have to be on. It's a conference. It's a presentation. It's my number one customer. Whatever the case might be, then I know I need to. Do I go to Starbucks? Do I go to my sister's house? Do I have a backup? Do I have a 4G back? What is my plan for executing this overall? And it leaves customers in an area where they really, some know, but a lot are just kind of confused about where they want to go. And then again, if they do decide those things, what are the implications from a security standpoint? If I is all the security in this device and I just tell my end user use this laptop and that's what I'm protecting and that's where the guarded walls exist, that's great. But if the laptop dies or it's the exact same extension of a backup plan. What is your recovery plan, if you will? But instead of it being the recovery plan for hurricane plan for this building, now it's employee Joe can't get on. How important is his connectivity? Is it okay that Joe be down for that day? If it is, then maybe that's my decision. But if it determines that he cannot be down, then maybe it's I have to have a router that has dual links. I need SD-WAN. Maybe it's that I have to have battery backup. Who knows? And there are other implications about the data that's stored. Do I need cloud services? Do I need Office 365? There's a whole lot more than just the network security piece. And that's why I think it leaves users question marks. And so again, whether you're an end user, whether you're a partner, hopefully it's our job to help them with that. And as a technologist group, to just reach out and especially be willing to answer this question or give them a little guidance.
Exactly. And it's really identifying, like you said, it's not the same for every employee in a business. We know it's
Right.
not the same for every business. Depending on what business they're in, how they do business, it's going to be different. But then within each organization, there are different levels of redundancy that you have to have and security, to be honest, for different types of employees.
Sure.
If you have HR people working from home, security is a big question mark and a big factor. but it may be okay if they are not redundant.
Right.
So if they're taking phone calls on their cell phone, that may be okay. But if they're updating someone's HR record, that has to be secure.
Right.
So those are the type of decisions that you have to make, not just at a business level where the individual employee is or the individual business type is, but at the employee and or the group level. HR needs this. My CEO and CRO and COO, they need to have redundancy and security because I know they're having to approve those bigger decisions. They're having to be on very sensitive meetings, and they have to be on those meetings regardless of what happens. So if I'm looking at a large organization, then I'm going to say, what does each tier of employee or which group of employee need for them to be able to work from home? Do I need to go from maybe I have a 3-story building that I've been leasing? Maybe I need to drop that down to 1 story and still have that one level of people that do come into the office every day, that I have these terminating points within the office, but then 2/3 of my company is going to work from home, and half of them are going to be just basic at home users. If their internet goes down, they forward their phone or they use their mobile app. Most all of the hosted solutions, I know all of them that we offer, do have a mobile app as well. So if I'm doing a Teams call and my computer fails or my internet fails, I can very quickly on my cell phone pull up the Teams app and do the same thing. If I'm on my FusionWorks with WebEx, it's the same way. I can have a WebEx meeting, and if I'm in this WebEx meeting and my internet fails, I can very quickly on my mobile device open my WebEx client and I'm in that meeting again. I can move calls between the two. I can do business there. But if I haven't secured that edge, here at my home, I do secure mine. I have a redundant connection and I have a secure connection. And my mobile device, I only connect to the wireless that's on my secure connection with my mobile device. So if I lose my computer, I am still communicating over my secure encrypted connection on my mobile device. I'm
Right.
making sure that I'm taking those things into consideration. So, really that's the type of level of thing. And I'm a like yourself, I'm a technologist, so we tend to play with the new cool things and we want to make sure that we're doing the latest things. It's not just for us anymore. It really is. Instead
Right.
of it being us and the CEO only, it's now us, the C level, all of the C level, and maybe all of HR or all of our finance group. It's some very key players in the industry that in the past we've done things as technologists that maybe, oh, that's really neat and cool, but it's so hard to do. We're doing it because it's neat, cool, and we enjoy it. Where going forward, our job is to help you as clients and you as partners, you to see that we want to help you be able to do those things that are neat and cool. And yeah, maybe a little bit harder, but we don't want them to be so difficult that you have to spend just an exuberant amount of time on every single time you turn up a secure remote home user. We want to help you find that happy medium between I did it the easy way, I did it the cheap way, I did it the most expensive and most difficult way, or I did it the right way. That spot that's right in between all of those. That it's not the most expensive way to do it. We all know most expensive, though it may be the top end of all options, it's not what's needed at every site. And we really don't need to do that most expensive solution. That's what makes us a partner and why we want to partner with our clients versus them just being a customer. We want to be a partner, just like we partner with Fortinet and with WebEx and with all of the different companies that we at Fusion Connect partner with in order to provide these solutions. We also partner with all of our clients to make sure that when we provide these solutions, that we aren't just giving you the most expensive, we're giving you the right solution. And when you're looking at it, we're not going to give you the cheapest. We'll give you the option of a least expensive, but we're going to let you know those shortcomings. And if there is, we can do this, and this is the way you've been doing it since COVID because it was the quick, easy, cheap way to do it. But here are the ramifications of continuing to do this in this fashion. That's what we're here for. We're here to partner with you to show you why those things may or may not be the right thing to do. And hey, you did this great, or hey, you did this the way you had to do it. Now let's look at how to do it great and make it right for all of you.
Absolutely.
Great. So wanted to see, I don't know if we've had any Q&A come up. I don't see any.
Nothing to chat yet. Yeah, nothing to chat
nothing on chat yet. So I just wanted to make sure of that and see, does anyone have any questions as you're thinking about going back and doing business, as you're thinking about reopening your businesses? I'd like to hear if any of you have questions or there are things that you're thinking about, things that you're just not sure of as you go forward, and how we could help you talk about those. This is just somewhere for a high level question, but we definitely, I know we've got some of our sales team on here, and I know after the call, and I'll share another screen here in a minute, where we talk about a white paper that really, the white paper is downtime, how downtime impacts your business. And really it talks about how you're going to see just a little bit of downtime, an hour or two, can cost truly tens of thousands of dollars to a small to medium business and hundreds of thousands to millions to big businesses. I think in that white paper, it references Facebook was down for 9 hours and it cost them millions of dollars in revenue for those 9 hours. Now, most of us are probably not going to have that millions of dollar situation, at least not right now. I wish and I hope we do. But for all of us, I think there is some repercussion to being down for some period of time. So if you're down for a period of time, there is a cost factor there. And we need to help identify that. If someone gets a hold of your data, if you've not put in a security solution, a unified threat management, a UTM as we call it, what is really, what are the repercussions of that? If someone gets your data, what's it cost you to reach out to everyone whose data may have been compromised, to make the correct, I don't want to say repercussions, but just to correct that data. And then to fix if someone just goes in, and unfortunately we see it, and we've seen it since computers started hitting the internet. There are hackers out there that just hack to hurt. They just go out there and they want to shut your system down. And the more visible it is, the more they gain from it in their own eyes. So there are all of those out there, and we want to help you identify what those are so that we can try to stop those before they occur. So I do see a couple of questions have come in the chat while I was talking. It looks like Jay Cress asked, how do I not become the traffic cop to see who's being productive and who's not?
I could take it.
It's not an IT thing. Yeah, go ahead, Brett.
Yeah, so there are several things to consider there. First of all, I mean, just from let's just look at it from when we had pre-COVID. We're in one building, we have an enterprise, we have an infrastructure, and we would put rules in place. We'd have a computer utilization policy that says these are how you're going to use the company resources. The employees sign off on that saying, yes, I agree, I will not be looking at these things. But then it comes down to a technological solution for how do I, as the company, enforce the rules that I've put down on paper? Or how do I at least check to make sure the rules are being followed? So to your point, really should the IT side be the ones having to check? No, obviously it's more of an HR discussion, but from an just a technology standpoint, we have the ability to put rules in place. We have the ability to force everyone, as Terry mentioned earlier, to UTM, Unified Threat Management, or UTP, Unified Threat Protection. You have the ability to go in and set a content filter rule that says these are the things you could do. My HR department needs to be able to use Facebook. They need to be able to use Twitter for advertise, or my marketing department, I should say. They need to be able to market through Facebook. They need to be able to market through Twitter. However, they don't need to be playing Farmville on Facebook. That's just not a need they have. But because I have a next-gen firewall, or I have a advanced level of security, I have the ability to go in and rule set and say, I'll let you use Facebook, but I'm not going to let you play the games. There's no reason you should be watching cat videos. So it takes that responsibility away from IT, other than the original rules be set, but you don't have to follow. And it can even be done through an automated reporting that maybe just goes to the HR manager that takes that away from you. And there are technological solutions. They're obviously not perfect, but as we work with the business and kind of understand the need, I think there are things that we can solve for.
Absolutely. Thanks, Brett. And on that same aspect, in that same vein, you're right. As we don't want it to be an IT thing, and we don't want to have to make those decisions, or then if those decisions are made, go in and make the changes when the COO is walking past someone's desk that is in the office and sees them out on Twitter and decides that they don't agree with whatever they said on Twitter, so they don't want any employees on Twitter anymore. Yep. We don't want to have to be the ones that go out and do that block. So we have the ability here at Fusion Connect and with Fortinet, we have portals that are in place, and that allows our clients to give access to go and tell HR, okay, I've created you, HR user, a user on the portal. You can go in and you can check these boxes that block these different things. I can block tobacco use. I can block alcohol and submit it, and it actually goes out and blocks those things for all employees, or blocks it for groups of employees. You can set up different groups. So, as Brett said, as an IT person, you're right. It's not our job to do the policing itself or to set the rules of the policing. It is our job to facilitate that policing for the people that are wanting it done. So we don't have to be the traffic cop out there telling people, go this way, go that way. But we do want to give them the tools. Let's invent the stoplight that lets them allow traffic to go this way and that way at different times. And we have that, and we've implemented it across our environment. And I know Fortinet's done that on theirs. They've implemented it on our solutions with them. I had another question here that says, what attributes would you use to decide who gets extra security hardware or software for those work from home users of the employee base? So really, it's our job as technologists to make those recommendations to the client, but ultimately it becomes you as the client and then your HR team or your operations team's decision, and then ultimately maybe each individual manager, depending on the size of your company, it may be that your head of IT says, yeah, my guys can all get on regardless, I'm not worried about it. But your head of, say you're an engineering firm, I need my engineers can work remote and then just upload everything later. But my online people, maybe they do surveys and they have to be able to get online all the time. You have to look really at what your business does and what you factor as that money-making portion of your business. In many cases, that's what it comes down to. The goal of every organization is to make money now and in the future. It just is. It's even those nonprofit organizations, it's for them to make money now and in the future to reinvest that money. But every company's goal is to make money and make a difference, because that money makes a difference, whether it be in your pocket or to someone's life. That makes a difference. So you have to decide as an individual, not you, the individual, but your business and the individual people within your company have to decide, what is it in your role that makes the money for our business, and does that have to be online all the time? Do I need you on the phone all the time? Absolutely. That's what keeps us going and making money. Then your role of making sure you can be on the phone all the time is most important. How about on the computer? Can you do your phone calls with or without your computer? No, I have to have the computer because I have to be able to look stuff up online. Okay, that's the next step. Now it's not just on the phone all the time, but now I need to look at how redundant I make your work from home solution if you're working from home. And then the third thing is, what kind of data are you working with? Is it all public domain data? Is it just lookups in our catalog, but you're one of our top salespeople and we need you to be able to get out there and connect and be online all the time? Yes. Maybe I put in a basic security solution at your location, but I don't have to go with a more enhanced security. I go with base security and not the more in-depth, I'm going to lock you down, I'm going to do multi-factor authentication, I'm going to do all of these other things. So really you have to evaluate how that person's job and their role affects how your business performs, and that's what's going to help you make those decisions on who gets redundancy at home, who gets extra security at home, and whether they work from home or not. Those are the decisions that we have to make as we make the decisions on how we're going to go back and come into a go forward strategy after COVID.
Yeah. What makes it hard for us as the partner of the vendor, it's almost you could reword the question to say, well, what's critical to me? I can't answer that question. You'd have to tell me what's critical to you and to your business, and then I can help facilitate keeping those critical services online. But I can't answer the question what's critical to you. I may have an opinion on it, but you're the only one who really knows. So as you describe that to us, we can help facilitate to you. Okay, well, you're going to want redundant internet connections. You're going to want power backup. There's a whole laundry list of things. You're going to need the following cloud services. We might be using an Exchange server at the office today. Is that redundant? Is that accessible? Would we be better off if we had a cloud service so they don't have to maybe backhaul all that traffic into my home location? Would they be better off rather coming to my corporate base, going to the cloud? Those are all bits and pieces of it, but really it stems from you defining for me what's critical to you.
Agreed. So really it becomes, just as Brett said, everyone has to make that decision for themselves. We're more than happy to help facilitate some of those questions to you and help you make that decision, or really help you know what decisions you have to make. But ultimately, that decision does fall on not necessarily all of you as technologists, but all of you as business leaders. And then ultimately, you can use that same argument back to your senior leadership to say, look, I'm your IT person. I can give you any level solution you want, but I need you to tell me who needs to be most redundant, most secure, and what you're willing to spend, because it's like three sides of a triangle. I've got time, I've got money, I've got features. I can never hold more than two of those sides at any time. So, how do we get there? You present to your leadership, look, I can give you the best solution in the world and I can give it to you tomorrow. It's going to cost us a little extra money to get it done because we're going to have to bring in other people to do it. Or I can give you something in a reasonable amount of time and I can give you very cost effective, but it may not have the top level of every single level of redundancy and security and everything else that we want to ultimately do for some, for every single individual. So always holding two sides of that triangle, and that's how you as business leaders present it back to ultimately your senior leadership in helping make that decision. Or if you're the one making that decision, that's how you make that decision, hopefully, to all of your employees, as you keep that in mind and you direct your IT leaders, your technologists that you have, and hopefully us as your partner to make those decisions together. So really, that's how we all have to look at this as we go back to business and as we go back to production of everything going on in the world, and hopefully find that I hate to hear the term, but that new normal. Everybody has that normal that we're going to. What is going to be that new normal? So before I put this last slide up, Brett, did you have anything else you wanted to?
I might need you to write down that. I might need you to write down the triangle thing for me. I may have to use that again.
Absolutely. Yep, that's something I've used for a long time, and I do try to talk to all of our clients about that. Is to say, we build a pyramid. When you look at a pyramid, the base is the connectivity. It's how you're going to make those connections. The next level of that pyramid is how you're going to make those connections either redundant or what level of redundancy you're going to need for those. That top level is what you're going to run on all of those connections. And then I'm going to wrap that whole pyramid in security. I try to lock it all together with security. So I do a pyramid for the stack of how we do technology for everyone, and I do a triangle for that decision making. So everything's triangles and pyramids.
I like it.
So I did talk a little bit about the white paper. You will, if you attended the meeting today or registered for the meeting, you will receive a link after the call with a link to the white paper, but you'll also have a link to our partner here, Fortinet, has been very kind and is working with us. You'll get a link for a thank you gift, and you'll be able to register, and they'll send you one of these handsome Yeti mugs that they have with Fortinet's logo on it, and will be something you can remember as you're drinking your morning beverage, coffee, tea, whatever it is that you may drink. And I know I drink coffee pretty much all the way up until I'm done with the day. So hopefully that'll be a nice gift for all of you. And hopefully you'll remember us here at Fusion Connect and through Fortinet as your partner to be able to provide you the redundancy, the security, the connectivity that you need as we move forward and we identify those impacts to doing business going forward. Don't hesitate to reach out to us. We do offer SD-WAN services. We offer security services. We offer communication services, voice, video, conferencing. We're using one of our platforms today for this conference call. We also offer, Brett talked about the Microsoft offering. We offer the full Microsoft suite, and we have voice connectivity into that, as well as WebEx, as well as all of the different platforms that you may need. So don't hesitate to reach out to one of the salespeople that's on this call. You may have a salesperson that you work with regularly. Here at Fusion Connect, please reach out to us. My team are solution engineers. We're across the country. We're more than happy to help, to meet with you, to speak to you about your solutions, find the right overall solution, and then ultimately we want to be a partner with you. We want to do business with you, and we want to be that trusted advisor and partner with you. And Brett, I want to thank you for being a partner to us and for joining us today and letting us talk about technology and how we go back to doing business in the world.
No problem. Thanks for having me. I could talk about this stuff all day.
Me too. All right. Thanks, everyone. I hope you've enjoyed this session and have a great day.
Thanks. Thanks again, Terry.
Thank you.